Right, exactly. On the unit that I was on, it was in an 8-hour chunk.
Okay.
But that's not normal, because like some days there was no way that you were gonna get that in. And so I think about it in this child's everyday life.
Yeah.
Or when they're in your class,
Yeah.
or when you're with them. In general, over the course of the week, the message to me was, start looking for things they're doing well. But here's the thing, is what you choose to praise and how you praise makes a dramatic impact and actually can have the reverse effect. And that's what I'm talking about.
One more question.
Yes, I know, exactly. Okay.
I'm just like fascinated by that statistic, but how, do you remember how long it took to see that increase?
It all depends.
Oh.
It all depends. But I'm going to teach you something a little different. I think you'll find that it's pretty fast. That's why I love this skill. It's fast. You'll notice it pretty quickly, but it all depends on what you're trying to increase and what the obstacles are. So like if it's a kid you're trying to learn, who's trying to learn, a certain skill that's really challenging for them, what you'll notice is they're persisting longer right away. And I'm going to talk about some studies, and you'll get a little vague right now. I know what you're doing because I did the same thing. Because there's so many different things
It's
on
like I
this.
just want to start implementing
Well, that's
this,
the
and I wanna know how
problem with
fast
that's
it's
the
changed.
problem with this research. There's
Yeah.
a lot of problems with
Yeah.
which is what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about something different.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't want you focused on
Okay.
this. Like, yeah.
Could it also help
That's pretty cool.
if you're praising different children, and could that count as part of the 5, that
No.
they hear it? They hear that you're
This
praising other
let
children?
me continue. Sure, it creates a climate in the classroom. Maybe if you're a team and you're praising the team, I mean everything helps, but there's a lot of harm in the way. There's not all praise is created equal. So let me continue, and then I think sometimes I wonder if I should even show this slide. It's too okay. So what I started learning and experiencing was that the way you give feedback really matters. So Carol Dweck, how many of you are familiar with Carol Dweck? Yeah. Anybody else? So Carol Dweck is a researcher out of Stanford University, and she was really interested in why is it that some kids, when faced with a challenging task, take 2 kids, same ability, one of them gives up, and the other one persists, in spite of the fact that they both might be getting the answer wrong. And she also wanted to know, and what is it about a kid who, when they're facing failure, why would one kid say, I'm so stupid, and the other one say, wow, that was hard, I need to work harder. So her research actually found that the way adults give kids feedback have a profound impact on which direction they go. And that's why you're going to love this skill, because it's so simple. It's very simple. So I'm going to show you a short video and that's talking about the research that she did. This guy summarizes it a lot more succinctly than I do, and then I'm going to teach you this skill.
Check this out. Carol Dweck and her colleagues wanted to look into the impacts that praise had on children's development. So what they did is they took over 400 5th grade students from all across the nation, and they did a really simple yet interesting study. Here's how it went down. They gave all the kids a really, really easy nonverbal IQ test. There were 10 questions, and at the end of the test, they praised all the children in one of 2 ways. The first group was praised for their intelligence. So they said, wow, great job, you must be really smart at this. Now the second group was praised for their effort. So they said, wow, great job, you must have worked really, really hard at this. Now this is a really subtle difference, but the impact it had is incredible. So after praising the kids and getting them divided up into the 2 groups, they gave them all an option for their next test. The first option was, hey, this next test is going to be a little bit harder, but it's going to be a great opportunity to learn and grow. Now the second option was, this next test will be similar to the first, and you will surely do well on it. Now the interesting thing is, out of the group that was praised for their intelligence, 67% of them chose the easier option, while 92% of the kids who were praised for their effort chose the harder test. This is unbelievable to think about, how just the subtle difference in the way that they were praised had such an impact. Carol Dweck explains why this happened.
The child or adult hears, oh, you think I'm brilliant and talented. That's why you admire me, that's why you value me. I better not do anything that will disprove this evaluation. As a result, they enter a fixed mindset, they play it safe in the future, and they limit the growth of their talents. Whereas focusing on the strategies they use, the way they're stretching themselves and taking on hard tasks, the intense practice they're doing, those are the kinds of things that say to a child or an older athlete, it's about the process of growth. As a result, they don't feel, oh, if I make a mistake, you won't think I'm talented. They think, oh, if I don't take on hard things and stick to them, I'm not going to grow.
Next, Dweck and her colleagues gave all the kids a really, really difficult test. It was one that they would surely fail, but they wanted to look at how the different kids attacked this challenge. Dweck noticed that the group that was praised for effort worked harder, longer, and actually enjoyed this test more than the group that was praised for their intelligence. This group got really frustrated with this test and had the tendency to give up early. After this artificially induced failure round, all of the kids were given a third and final test. Now this test was the same level of difficulty as the first one, but check out the results. The group that was praised for their intelligence actually did worse on this test than the first one. Their average score actually dropped by 20%, while the group that was praised for their effort did significantly better, raising their average score by nearly 30%. This is a 50% difference in performance that was caused by a few subtle differences in the way that they were praised. This study shows how praise can either make or break a child's development. I mean, we all do it. We all want to be positive with the children we work with, so teachers, coaches, parents are always looking for ways to support their kids and tend to praise them quite a bit. So we need to look at research like this and realize, okay, praise is a good thing and there's nothing wrong with being positive, but we need to be very careful about praising someone's intelligence or abilities and focus more on the process and the effort that they put forth. I think this is a pretty easy fix that will help us develop growth mindsets within the kids that
So, and her book is called Mindset, and she looks at the effects of feedback on not just kids, but on parents, on teachers, on athletes, on companies, and finds the same thing over and over and over again. So I want to talk a little bit more about why, a little bit more, but then we're going to practice using the skill that is called descriptive reinforcement. That is our skill. It breaks it down into two components. And so then we'll use them and then practice. So she talks about how there's none of us are a fixed or a growth mindset. I think what you'll find is that we fall into both camps. But a fixed mindset is this idea that I am born with or have a fixed amount of either intelligence or abilities like artistic or social skills, or it's fixed. I am this. And so people who believe that will constantly work to make sure that they look like that, as opposed to the belief that I'm a kind of a blank slate, and however hard I work, however much effort I have put in, I can build that skill. And it has a profound effect on motivation, on persistence, on your level of frustration. So a fixed mindset leads to a desire to protect the image. The first sign of a fixed mindset, one of the things I can see in kids right away is they're comparing themselves to other kids. So if any of you have kids in your classroom or two children, it doesn't mean your child has a fixed mindset all the time. It means certain situations are gonna bring about that fixed mind. Like John made his bed. Did Juan make his bed too? Or, did I do a good job like he did? How's my picture compared to his? it's fixed. Your measure of your worth is based on whether you're higher or lower than someone else. It leads to a tendency to avoid challenges, because why am I gonna take the risk? If I'm just this fixed amount, the only thing I have to lose is that somebody thinks I'm less than. Sees, they give up easily due to obstacles, sees effort as rootless, ignores useful feedback like I know, and may be threatened by others' success. So all of us have areas where we feel more fixed. I mean, and as opposed to the growth mindset is the belief that traits can be developed through effort. So it leads to a desire to learn, and therefore a tendency to embrace challenges. Those are the kids who are like, I love a challenge. Persist despite obstacles. To see effort as a path to mastery. Like, so that's how I get better. If I do badly on a test, I just need to work harder. They learn from criticism and are inspired by others' successes. And so sometimes it depends on what the activity or situation is. Like if you're a kid and it's really like a social status to be very good at basketball, it's gonna be hard to be in that situation and have a growth mindset because the stakes are high. But you can help kids, and that's where I love this skill. So there's another short video, and all I want you to see is, again, this just reinforces what we just talked about, is the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. There's no words to this video. So I can think of areas where I have a fixed work. I can feel it when sometimes if like you get feedback or something that's less than positive. When I'm in that fixed mindset, it just like cuts me to the core. I panic. And when I get feedback, same thing maybe in like athletics. For some reason, I have this growth mindset. I'm fine with it. I love feedback when I'm playing sports. I welcome it because I don't know, I've always been like that. So push me hard and I'm fine. I think because my whole identity is not wrapped up in being like the best athlete. And so think for a minute about areas where you have a fixed mindset. Like what's another one that, and again, you can flip in and out of it, but signs that you know that you're in that space might be when you get feedback or something and you really, you maybe get more defensive or have a hard time being like, oh, okay, you're right. Yeah.
So last night, my son and my husband picked me up from the airport, and Arundel Mills is pretty close, and it was dinner time. So we went into Maryland Live, the casino, and when we walk in, and Benjamin goes, oh, I want to play the video games. I want to play the video games. And of course he would. That's what it looks like to him. And I said to him, those are adult games. You can play them when you're 18. And he accepted that. And we went into the Cheesecake Factory, and we're sitting and we're waiting to be called. And he goes, Mommy, what's 18 minus 5? And I said, well, what is it? And I've learned not to answer for him. I said, what is 18 minus 5? And he's counting backwards from 8. He is 5. He's counting backwards from 18. And he goes, So in 13 years, I can play these machines. And my first instinct
You're
was
so
to
smart.
say,
Yeah.
you're so smart, you're so
Yeah,
intelligent.
yeah.
And I stopped myself and I said, wow, how did you come up with that process to come up with this answer? And then I said, that was very smart of you. And he didn't answer me, but he accepted it and moved on. Like, but I was floored. A 5-year-old coming up with the logic that he needed to subtract his
Right.
age.
And you pulled out, you reflected back that there was a logic there. You can repeat a logic, but repeating just getting the answer is, what that will do in subsequent tries is they won't share it, or they won't try, or they give up. Yeah, love it. So, can any of you think of an area where you might, yeah, you might have a fixed mindset, yes.
Maybe in like homemaking, like
Uh-huh.
as a woman, like our house,
Mm-hmm.
like somebody comes in and says something about the way you designed your home, let's say.
Yeah.
That could be like, make a person very defensive.
It's threatening. If it's really something that, sometimes it's like the things you value most, and if you don't feel like you're measuring up, then it can feel like, oh gosh, yeah.
Especially if you're excited about it.
Oh, yeah. Thanks a lot, yeah. Uh-huh.
I kind of did something wrong when my children were younger, because I did exactly what you shouldn't do.
Well, I hope
So
you're
my
ready
young, my firstborn, I mean, I don't remember what was going on at the time, but it was like I would praise him all the time, and you know, because I thought that was what you're supposed to do. So, and then the second one came. He was hyperactive,
Uh-huh.
so he was like, oh my God, he was a challenge. And it was, you know, different challenges constantly, whatever. So one day, I went to a fortune teller, not that I do this a lot. And she said to me, really, she said to me, and she lays out the card, she says, your child's going to be a doctor, but it's not the one you think.
Wow.
And it was like, it flip-flopped everything for me. It's like, okay, the hyperactive one was really, you know, really shrewd. And my other son kind of gave up in like junior high. In junior high, it's like he just wasn't trying anymore. So I thought to myself, I'm probably, you know.
What does he do now?
They both have great jobs, but you know, the first one never finished college.
Is the second one a doctor?
No.
Oh,
Well, you can't believe everything, unfortunately.
I tell you, my daughter, Sophia, she's 13 now. When she was like 8 or 9, oh, it took years, she had the lowest frustration tolerance. I mean, she would sit down for 5 seconds and say, I have to go to the bathroom, I'm hungry. And because of that, she wouldn't complete things. And when she didn't complete things, she didn't feel like she could do it. And her first response to not being able to is just flop on the floor. And it was such a struggle. And I started slowly just identifying a small things that she did. It's called scaffolding, but descriptive reinforcement. You didn't want to, like, you didn't even feel like showing me your planner, but you did. Thank you. One. So then, that was the first step. She like sat down at the kitchen table. I mean, just things that were in her control. So it was just, and I had to sit there and not talk until, you know, after little increments, just say something like, you know, even though you wanted to go play outside, you kept going and you finished 2 problems. Stop talking. And it really made a dramatic difference. And I realized what was going on was people would say, you can do it. You're so smart. And it was doing the opposite. Yes.
My daughter, who I talk about, who takes most of my energy, you know, one of your children takes more of your energy. She who has learning challenges, she is fixed I work so hard to get her off of the fixed mindset of her abilities, that it may be harder for her, but it doesn't mean she's not gonna accomplish. And she's also a singer performer,
Mhm.
and that's her love. And it's interesting, cause in that world,
Yeah.
she is like, tell me what to do, tell me what to do.
Yes.
She goes, the director gives her feedback and she like eats it for breakfast. I mean,
Yeah.
and she goes home and then practices exactly what they tell her to
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah.
So her growth on the other side is
Yeah.
unbelievable. But I'm noticing, that's why I love the arts, I'm noticing now
Yes.
that world is slipping a little bit more into the other world.
Oh, yeah,
You
same as
know,
sports.
she's starting to recognize that the hard work on one side, hard work pays off. And it's helping, but it's such a fixed mindset that that's all she's capable of. It's so hard to undo it. And she's,
Mhm.
I mean, I hope I didn't do it to her. She's done that, you know.
I think some kids are
you
just,
know,
I mean,
she's
granted,
hard on herself,
I did what
you
you
know.
did with my first son. I was like, oh, I was always told that if you don't say good job, but if you say good job cleaning, and so I'd be like, that's a good job cleaning, and it's the same darn thing.
Yeah.
It's good job, it's good job. It's just, so let me go on and teach you,
Was
like,
you're not supposed to say that?
let me just show you something different. You're not I mean, come on. We're all being positive. We're not talking like ruin these kids for life. But when you see a child struggling, those kids who are frustrated, they're giving up easily, try this. I mean, there's some kids who are so sensitive to the praise, they actually get mad when you praise them. They will get mad. Don't talk.
Don't talk.
All right. So there's two things that you do. I don't always use both, as you saw some of my examples. But the first, just like empathy, just like personal message, just like goal setting, just describe the behavior. So the behavior. Give me something positive that you try and increase in your classroom.
Cleaning.
So cleaning up. So the behaviors. I asked you to clean up the toys, and they're all put in the bin. Or, you know, you picked, it's specific, you picked up all the markers and put them back in the bin, or you picked up the blue, sort of just describe. Second one is identify the effort or impact, or value, or quality value that you, like self-control, or, it took a lot of self-control. It's like, think to yourself, what did that take? That took self-control. That took, patience, that took just, you're building these things with them that they have control over. So, you know, even though you didn't feel like cleaning up, you remember that it was important to me. Or, you know, you were able to stop what you were doing. Thanks. So the effort or impact, the outcome that it had, could also be how it affected you. So, let's do a lot of examples. So, let's say you have a kid that's kind of impulsive, and two of them kind of nudge and nudge and nudge. But this time, and you've been working on it, say, through all your goal setting, the kid pushes him or nudges him or says something, and he doesn't respond, he walks away. So, the descriptive reinforcement is when Bob insulted you and you walked away, or when he insulted you, you walked away. That took a lot of self-control. And you can do it in whatever order, and you may just say one, you know. Although you felt like giving up, you kept working and completed the worksheet. That was my go-to with Sophia. Your discipline and focus paid off. You thought about her feelings and invited her to join the group. So, you know, a kid who invited kind of another kid, they didn't want to their birthday party, but she's been smiling the whole day. So that's the outcome, that's the effect that what they did have. So going back to just some generals on when you want to reinforce and when you want to refrain, I think using this method, it doesn't matter. You can do it for anything. But in general, you want to use it when they're not interested in learning a behavior. Like, what kid is really excited about making their bed? Well, some are, but mine's not. So if they went out of their way to make their bed, like you remembered and made your bed this morning, even though you didn't feel like it. You know, thank you. Like, it means something to me. They don't care. When they're really frustrated, so that can be anything from learning to ride a bike to getting something, tying their shoes. When they lack the self-control or the self-discipline. So they need it. Or when they're working to overcome a bad habit. Bad habit can even be that they impulsively react to other, siblings. So you want to reframe when they're doing something out of self-interest, because the more you can get out of their way, they're building that internal motivation themselves. So you just get out of their way. When they're being creative, like when they're drawing, just get out of their way. When they're intently concentrating. Like the tendency is to be like, wow, look at all you've read, or because you want to increase it, but get out of their way. Or if they're being naturally rewarded. This is a biggie for me with my own kids. Like if one of them does something nice for the other, it's so hard not to say, wow, that was so nice. If they're being naturally rewarded, one child will respond and thank them, and the more you can get out of the way, the more that starts happening. But on the other hand, if they don't, then you want to use descriptive reinforcement. So let's practice. I'm going to hand these around. You can try these with the person next to you. So they're still slightly small, but they're up on here. Choose the descriptive reinforcement response for each of these examples.
We're going to see how this room Exactly. She wants to stop Holly's the chef in this one. She wants to watch it too. She saw Alyssa kiss the boy on Instagram on the play, so she wants to see that part.
It's the uncut version.
That's why she wants to see it.
Version. Yeah.
That's what you would kiss her also, like, I wonder if she saw that, like, not for inappropriateness, but I think our shorts, maybe in the junior or in this version.
So this is not the junior version.
Right.
You're describing.
Yeah, I think that it went out. Did you guys get married? There was an advertisement email today. Yeah, ours went out today.
Awesome.
Michelle's sending me her.
I know, it's so great. I love these schools. I have them on my
So
phone.
excited.
Yeah.
And I have a kid. I don't know you do.
Yeah. Oh, I love doing that. That's my favorite.
All right, well.
Definitely. Yeah. Right on it.
Parents are on board, so I can, yeah, like check my email board. Nature, no, he was in the email.
Yeah, and it's not an exact, no, these are just examples. It's definitely not a
Emma?
What I've learned is that very few people like that.
So what did he do, or what did he do? He decided to use your then, even though Oh, okay. Well, he wasn't worried about going, but did it anyway. Oh, yeah. Okay. He was worried about going, the kids were like, I'm not going to tell me. But he tried to get them to like it.
That was great. That was thoughtful.
And you might add more, which is fine.
I'm having set up all the doing nature as our year.
I like how you.
All of her stuff. We're gonna take a nature walk, collect, and then come back and create. It's on her late. The leadership team. And that's all now.
Right, that's cool.
One from each state, Brenda is the other one. Yeah. And so. Good too.
So are you ready? No, okay.
That's very cool.
Alright, so I'm gonna put your nomination.
I feel like, but it just could be because I'm used to that.
She's not.
Your question for
Nomination, if you want me to do this.
I wrapped my, every one of your questions.
I got like six.
And I don't really
I was on vacation. I was on vacation for 3 weeks, so I tried
And you
to
don't even know
ignore
what they did, right? What the time frame was, I'm like, how do you even do that?
Sorry.
Wait, is it?
Like that would be the first one. Oh, I was supposed to strike comments and I think I screwed up, so our first Christ is on Tuesday.
It's phony for a while, because they're exhausting. Oh, they do. Totally know. And then you run out of things, it's like, it has to be descriptive. What do you, I find myself being like,
No, you're really not.
good job.
And you're really know her well. She's coming, you're all gonna know her, she's coming
And I
in
still do when I get on the sideline.
It's not voices.
No.
If you're thrown up with that a lot,
Oh. No.
But she's too old to be. She's the Israeli radio representative. I'm Skyping her on Tuesday.
The local people.
DJ's been working with her and she keeps yelling at her.
it starts.
She's not has to get descriptive reinforcement, is my guess. Like, she's probably not so much trying to be crazy with the words. She's
Planning too much. I told DJ she's done. DJ's like, we're gonna do this, this, and this. You're not almost like, why are you not talking to anybody? You're explaining all this stuff. She said, I got in trouble.
Wow.
She did the same thing to me, but she did it 8 times. Because I met her at the end of the year. She was like, pick one and, you know,
Around this age, we're.
nature. Yes, I've seen it. I haven't seen it in action. I've seen it.
Oh, yeah, that was like that era of like, no, that was bad. And then, yeah, so that's the opposite, right? Yeah, like a little bit of.
It's not the first time. It's not the first time. I thought it was.
I don't know how many nature. They're heavy.
We'll talk about this show.
You know, Scotty and Al, nature of the forest.
Yeah, but
I'm sending all those teachers.
Oh, I thought about it. I bet it's a lot. Yeah.
MSC credits.
Because you start reading that, and you're like, oh, no wonder. Some people get mad because the wrong answer.
Like so much happened and it's what.
A lot of it
Excuse me.
We've come a long way.